Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast. My name's Mark Sennett. I'm the CEO of Western Business Media, which is the publisher of Health and Safety Matters. And once again, this podcast is proudly sponsored by the Health and Safety event. And by now, I'm sure you're very familiar with the event. It's the biggest national event for health and safety in the UK, and it takes place on the 25th to 27th of April 2023 at the NEC in Birmingham, and it's co-located with the workplace event, the fire safety event, and the security event, and the National Cyber Security Show. And one pass will give you access to all of those free of charge. If you want to register now, you can do, and look at their website, which is healthandsafetyevent.com, or just put in a search engine, Health and Safety Event, and you can register for free. And we're the official lead media partner of that show, and you will be able to see us on our stand in the BSIF there. It would be great to chat to you in April if you want to come and see us. But as always, we start with the news. So where should we begin this week? Well, it's some news coming out of the British Safety Council. So the British Safety Council is offering any organisation employing more than 500 staff the chance to get free support to improve the well-being of their workplace. Through its campaign on workplace well-being, which is called Keep Thriving, the Health and Safety and Wellbeing charity is inviting SMEs and micro-sized employers to apply to attend one of a series of free 3-hour workshops to help them develop develop a wellbeing strategy. So applications are currently open and will run until the 30th of November, so not long left to go, just over a month from when I'm recording this. And the session is delivered by experts from the British Safety Council's Being Well Together programme. And the idea of this is to help employers explore why well-being matters to them, their people and their business, and ways that they can improve their well-being. The sessions will help small, medium and micro-sized employers to develop a strategy which works and to track and evaluate their progress. So Peter McGettrick, someone who's been on this podcast very recently and is the chairman of the British Safety Council, has commented on this, and Peter said, "We've been seeing more and more pressures piling onto businesses, especially smaller ones, both following the COVID pandemic and with the rising cost of energy. And as a charity, we want to do something to help. That's why we're offering SMEs and micro-sized employers the chance to improve well-being of their staff completely free of charge." So, as I said, this is available to anyone with up to 500 staff. And if you want to apply for that, please do so. Go to the British Safety Council's website, britsafe.org. That's britsafe.org, and look for the Keep Thriving free workshops part on their website. So, it's a really, really good initiative. It's, I would say British Safety Council will be really out in the forefront of this, even more so since the COVID pandemic, about really focusing on the well-being of staff and giving key advice to that. So go to britsafe.org for more information. So, a little bit of news from us, actually, at the moment, and I've got some more in a bit. We are delighted to announce that in November 2023, on the 16th of November 2023, Health and Safety Matters will be doing an in-person conference in Edinburgh. It will be free to attend for everybody, and we will be opening registration next summer. It will be free to attend. You'll be able to get CPD sessions. We're going to have over 20 seminars going on through the course of the day. Free lunch, tea and coffee for everybody. There's going to be a mock trial there based on Scottish law as well. So this is going to be an event not to be missed. If you're based in Scotland or can get to Scotland, and I must say it's really easy to get to that venue, Edinburgh Airport is a 15-minute tram ride straight to this venue, or cab ride or Uber. There's a train station basically next door to it, parking on site. It could not be any easier to attend. Now, if you're interested in exhibiting at this event or sponsoring this event, and we've had a lot of interest already, do drop me a line. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn, Mark Sennett, and I'll happily give you more information. But we'll be heavily promoting this a lot more from the summer next year. But I just wanted to give you guys a first heads up that that's what we're doing. And I'm really, really excited to be getting back to doing face-to-face events. And it will be CPD accredited. All of you will be able to get a CPD certificate for attending. There will be some great network opportunities. We've already got the backing of the British Safety Industry Federation and the Health and Safety Executive. So it's an event not to be missed, and I will keep you all in the loop a bit closer to time. I wanted to give you an exclusive heads up on that's where we are right now. So the next news story comes from IOSH, the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health. And IOSH is backing a campaign highlighting the role of psychosocial issues in work-related musculoskeletal disorders, MSDs. Now, that was not easy for me to say, but I managed it. So MSDs are the most common health problem among European workers, with around 3 in 5 people affected. We've actually done a webinar on this with the health and safety executive, which I strongly urge you to go and have a look at. Go to our website, hsmsearch.com, click on the webinars tab, and you will see down there with the health and safety executive. We did one on this, and I think we had over 10,000 people take part, and it was phenomenal. Absolutely vital topic. So MSDs such as back and neck pain, tendinitis, hand-arm vibration syndrome, and carpal tunnel syndrome are often caused and aggravated by the work environment. So European Week for Safety and Health at Work, which runs, as I currently speak, on the 24th to 28th of October, and provides a chance to focus on this topic, and IOSH have done just that. IOSH is a long-term partner of the European Agency for Safety and Health at Work, which is EU OSHA, and their Healthy Workplace campaign. So the current campaign, which is Healthy Workplaces, Lighten the Load, began in 2020 and covers 8 priority areas for preventing work-related MSDs. The latest priorities is psychosocial issues such as stress, anxiety, depression, and their role in making MSDs worse or more difficult to recover from. So there are some improvements that IOSH are calling on. So they're calling on employers to take the lead in creating lasting improvements for their staff. So IOSH President Louise Hoskin has said, MSDs have a huge impact on millions of people all over the world, both restricting their ability to do their work and also undertake everyday tasks in their daily life. Employers have a duty to ensure that they manage the risks of MSDs. These risks vary across different industries, but there are simple steps employers can take to ensure that the risks are managed successfully, starting with thoroughly risk assessing the work people are doing. This is why IOSH are supporting the European Week for Safety and Health at Work. We urge all employers to do the same and review how they're managing MSD risks in their workplace. So if you want more information on this, just go to our website, hsmsearch.com, and in the search box, type Campaign Targets Work-Related Health Issue. Campaign Targets Work-Related Health Issue. And you can find all the links that you need. Again, another really worthwhile campaign, and IOSH have been very, very active on this, and I'd urge you to take a look at it. Okay, so moving on, some good news. So entries are now open for the Safety and Health Excellence Awards that we run. And last year we had over 200 entries, and it was fantastic to be back face-to-face at the Vox for the awards. We had over 450 people there. It is now the sector's biggest networking evening. We've run it 5 times, including during COVID, digitally. And, we are really, really proud of these awards, and it's something the industry has really got behind over the last 5 years, and we're very grateful to all our sponsors, including the headline sponsor Eco Online, and we expect more than 550 people to be there when we deliver the awards night itself on the 26th of April at the Vox in Birmingham, which will be the middle night of the health and safety event, I should mention. But anyway, it is free to enter, completely free to enter, and the entry deadline is the 15th of February 2023. So we have got a number of categories. The Alan MacArthur Unsung Hero Award, sponsored by 3M. This is launched in dedication to our good friend Alan MacArthur, who sadly passed away a few years ago now. And it really is to recognise someone who is dedicated and gone above and beyond to raising health and safety standards. We've got Best Health and Safety Manufacturing category, sponsored by March. We've got Best Health and Safety Project, Health and Safety Manager of the Year, Campaign of the Year, really important one. A couple of campaigns we just talked about could very much enter that. Team of the Year, sponsored by NEBOSH. This is one of our most popular categories. Enter your team, a team you're in. It could be a customer's health and safety team. Anyone that's made a difference to health and safety in a team, put them in. Rising Star of the Year, so someone that's worked in the health and safety sector since the 1st January 2021 and really made a difference. And that's sponsored by Evotix. Please do enter that award. The Safe Logistics Award, a bit different, this one. This is all about celebrating safety excellence in logistics and supply chain sectors. It's a great category, that one. Woman of the Year Award. So that's sponsored by Cromwell. And this is designed to recognise a health and safety professional who's female, who's made a significant contribution to health and safety or well-being. That's a very popular category. Please do nominate yourself, a colleague, somebody in supply chain. Then a new category, Marketing Campaign of the Year. So This can be anything that has been done to promote a health and safety product. So definitely agent. Another new category, distributor of the year, distributor of health and safety products. Then we've got another new category being brought about really by the government from Driving for Better Business, and it's sponsored by National Highways. Best Driver Risk Management Performance Award. That is all about what you guys have done to reduce accidents, risks for workplace driving. You don't have to have a fleet for that. You could just be having people on the road in your business. That is going to be a really interesting one. And another fun on new category where we're working with a health and safety executive on this and discovering safety. We're very, very proud to do that. And that is a new category on the best use of health and safety data to lower incident rates. We suspect that will also be very important to you guys because you are using data now to reduce incident rates. So tell us how you've done it and get yourself recognised for it. These awards are the perfect way to get yourself, your team, an individual at your business, a client, recognise the fantastic job you guys all do in keeping people or property safe. So please do enter. It's free, completely free to do so. And you go to she-awards.com, that's she-awards.com, or just put in a search engine, Safety and Health Excellence Awards. So yeah, you've got until the 15th of February. Please do enter that. And on the topic of awards, I am delighted to say that HSM has been shortlisted for 2 prestigious awards ourselves. The Independent Publishers Awards has recognised health and safety matters, both the British Safety Industry Federation annual guide that we did last year and the PPE Insights Guide. We are up for Best Commercial Partnership of the Year and Best Front Cover of the Year for the PPE Insights Guide, which is the first time that we featured female workwear on there. It was something that, we had a lot of great feedback on. And, as co-owner of this business, I'm unbelievably proud that we've been shortlisted twice for that. We've had 6 actual shortlistings in total, including Publisher of the Year, which we're very proud of. And a lot of effort goes into the magazines from the whole team there, from the editor to sales to production, and huge congratulations to all of them. And because I've read through every line of the PP Insights Guide, it was the biggest one we ever did. And it's purposely there. And if you haven't read it, go to our website, hsmsearch.com, and you can see it up on the homepage. You can look at it on digital format. It's a fantastic research tool. We did a survey with all of you to get trends for the sector. And then we took analysis from industry professionals. It's like a 14-page article on that of in-depth, which you just won't get elsewhere because we're committed to try and get as detailed a content to you as possible. And then we gave some real insights from manufacturers and professional, industry professionals in there as well. If you haven't looked at it, please do go have a look at it. It's worth it. And the BSIF guide last year was a monster. It's the biggest thing we do annually. And we're going to press again with it in December. If you don't get these publications, you can do so for free. Just go to hsmsearch.com and sign up on the right-hand side to get them in print or digital format. But, huge congratulations to Kelly, Paul, Chrissy, Alex, Zoe, Danny, Louise, everyone that's involved with HSM. Really, really proud to see that, and I'm always keen to get your feedback. Is really why I'm bringing this up. Drop me a line on LinkedIn. Just drop me a DM in there. Tell me what you think of the magazine. Tell me how we can get better. That's what I want to know. What more content do you want? What are we not covering? Could the design be better? Anything that you think that we could improve on, I'm really, really keen to hear from you. So drop me a message on LinkedIn, just Mark Sennett on LinkedIn, SENNETT, and I'm always keen to hear feedback on this podcast, the magazine, etc. So that's the end of the news for this edition of the podcast. You can see all the latest news on our website, which is hsmsearch.com, or just put in a search engine, Health and Safety Matters, and that we pop. And you should go to our website, not only to see the news, you can see all the latest prosecutions on there, products and services, all of our upcoming and past webinars you can either sign up to or watch on demand for free. You can also have access to our digital conference, which was a monster couple of days, and that's all available on demand now. If you just Google Health and Safety Matters Digital Conference or go hsmdigitalconference.com, you can watch all of those sessions for free. And of course, you can sign up to get our twice a week e-newsletter for free on there as well. So now it's time to introduce our guest for this edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast. I'm delighted that I was joined by Ben Haughton, who's the Technical Director of Arco Processional Safety Services. And we took this opportunity to talk about fall protection. And if you want to actually see even more information about fall protection, we actually just hosted a webinar with MSA, of which you can go on to our website, hsmsearch.com, click on the webinars tab, and we've got a fall protection solutions in challenging applications webinar, which had a phenomenal response of over 1,400 of you registering. You can watch it on demand for free right now. Just go to our website, hsmsearch.com, click on the webinars tab, you can watch it. So anyway, this interview was a real natural follow-on from that on a topic that we cover quite a bit, but haven't covered for a while on the podcast. So I sat down with Ben earlier, and here's what he had to say. Hi Ben, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Mark, and thanks very much for inviting me on to Health and Safety Matters.
No, we're delighted to have you, and it's been a while since I've spoken about fall protection, and that's really what we're going to focus on today. So before we do that, could you just tell us a bit more about your role at Arco, what you do at Arco?
Sure, yeah. So I'm the Technical Director for Arco Processional Safety Services, which is part of the Arco Group. In a nutshell, my role is to ensure services meet the needs of the customer in terms of legal compliance and real-world application. I come from a civil engineering background, 40-odd years in oil and gas construction and civil engineering, during which I've really focused on the high-risk activities of diving, working at height and confined spaces.
So we said we'd talk about fall protection today. So could you tell us about the key elements of a fall protection system, Ben?
Yeah, so a fall protection system ranges from procedural control right through to a physical barrier. And many will have seen these wire systems on roofs and eye bolts next to windows, but may not probably recognise what they're for. Essentially, they provide a means of safe access at height for various tasks, whether it's window cleaning, gutter cleaning, roof repairs, working on air handling equipment. And I guess the single consideration that needs to be taken into account is that it should be usable. It must be usable. If it's not, the risk is that it wouldn't get used at all. Or alternatively, it might take one risk away and introduce quite another. And I have seen fall restraint systems, which are designed to prevent people encroaching the exposed edge, but it routes straight past a fragile surface, which of course is nonsense. So that's a real big consideration. But the key component of a fall protection system is its anchor. It's like a building foundation. If that anchor doesn't work, neither will the system. So the correct design and application of the anchor is absolutely fundamental. There are various standards available for designers and specifiers to refer to. Now, whether this is guardrail, anchor devices or anchor systems. But the panacea really is to remove the risk of a fall entirely through design. But if it can't be achieved, then we have to descend through the hierarchy of control.
So let's talk about anchor systems a moment. So what processes are necessary if you're designing and installing a fall protection anchor system?
So design is a matter of literally tiptoeing through a minefield of considerations before specifying a usable and compliant system. We all know we don't live in an ideal world, and so there are many constraints. So the designer really has to have a good understanding of working at height and the tasks that are to be performed. A good example of this is designing for industrial rope access. Now, this is a specialist method of access, and a designer has to have a really good understanding of the technique if they're able to design a suitable rope access anchor array. But equally, possibly the more mundane tasks of gutter cleaning, window cleaning, roof repairs, they come with their varying requirements. And if the system has to be designed for fall arrest as opposed to fall restraint, rescue consideration has to be taken into account. So the designer also needs a really good understanding of building fabric and engineering principles. There are some high design loads come into the requirements. These can be in excess of 21 kilonewtons, which in old money is over 2 tons. Also, old buildings, by their very nature, no consideration has been made for fall protection. So with historic buildings in particular, we need to take a sympathetic approach. Nobody's going to thank us for stringing meters of shiny guardrail across this historic building. I think the other part of it is we've got to recognise we can't be experts in everything. We have to have a good network of reliable specialist support. This could be structural engineers, heritage building conservationists, fabricators. They're all people to refer to and should form part of the design process. Equally, when designing and installation is completed, it requires commission and certifying before it can be put into use. Now, historically, and as in the case now, and as with many types of installation, this is done through self-certification. And given that this is life-saving equipment, in my opinion, self-certification is probably not robust enough. The consequences of system failing are really, really high. And I do worry whether self-certification would stand up to scrutiny in the courts. And I suppose to finish this off, a fall event is probably the only time a system is truly going to be put to the test. So really nothing can be left to chance.
You talk about things being put to the test, but is there a particular standard that needs to be met to ensure ongoing safety, in your opinion? Or matter of factly, I should say.
Well, yes, Mark. There are a range of design standards. It's actually very well catered for in terms of design. For various parts of the fall protection industry. But the document that I would like to talk to you about today is BS 7883. This is really the go-to for the industry. It provides really good doctrine and covers everything from design through installation to periodic inspection, and it is considered as best practice. It's not a new document. It was first issued in 1997, and we're now on the 2019 version. And there have been a couple of revisions and amendments in between. I think the point being is that the latest edition addresses some industry concerns. It takes a very much more prescriptive approach, and by doing so, reduces the risk of misinterpretation. Now, at 130 pages long, it isn't exactly light reading, but for anybody involved with a fall protection anchorage system, it really must be the go-to document. I'll give you a brief example of this approach, and it's only one part of it. There's always been a requirement to provide evidence of the design process. Now, whether this is risk and mitigations, structural calculations, drawings, etc. But I think it's safe to say that the approach hasn't been consistently applied across the industry. The revised standard, the 2019 standard, takes a very much more prescriptive approach, and it ensures that all the elements of the system of the design have been considered, but really importantly, documented. So it leaves a lot less to interpretation. I think that's really, really important. One of the main things it calls for in the design process is then called a technical file. Now, this is a reference document for the life of the system, and in BS 7883 2019, it clearly describes the information the technical file must contain. The technical file is particularly important document for custodians, for those people who are duty holders of the system after its commissioning. It contains the design decisions, photographs, drawings, and lots of other information that might not be immediately obvious. For instance, elements that might have been hidden having been weathered in at installation. Now, this information in the technical file can then be passed on subsequently to inspectors at the periodic inspections.
So once you have your system in place, what needs to be done then in order to maintain safety?
Well, the first thing is to assign a duty holder. Now, this is a person who's responsible for the system. Could be a facilities manager, building owner, maintenance manager. There is a legal requirement to ensure that the system is fit for use. If it's not fit for use, it must be removed from use. It's a binary thing. It either works or it doesn't. So for fall protection systems, inspection in accordance with BS 7883 is at 12-month intervals, but be really careful, because if an anchor is for suspension, for instance, rope access, the lifting equipment regulations apply, LOLA, and that might reduce down to 6 monthly periodic inspections. So it's very well worth referring to the technical file to find out exactly what those requirements are. The person carrying out those inspections must be qualified and competent, but equally have the experience of the system that they're inspecting. From a duty holder's point of view, the responsibility is to ensure the certification remains in place, to hold certification on record, and put the system out of use physically if possible, if it failed or falls out of certification, so it simply can't be used. The 2019 standard is onerous, but it does recognise that the old binary pass-fail outcome would probably render quite a lot of systems unusable because of the lack of compliance supporting information. So it's introduced two intermediate outcomes, and this is important. There's the conditional pass. Now, this is where no immediate safety concerns have been raised. However, the system can be returned to service, provided a report is issued that details time-bound remedial actions that are required. The other one is a conditional fail. Now, this is where an immediate safety concern has been raised and one that must be remedied. The system must be taken out of service and a report issued detailing the remedial actions required. But importantly, the system must then be inspected and certified before being put back into service.
So, as I understand it then, Ben, this standard isn't actually regulation, but what are the consequences of not adhering to it?
Yeah, you're correct, Mark. The standards are not regulations. There's no legal requirement to comply, but be really careful. Standards are generally treated as best practice, so any departure from them will be subject to scrutiny if a system were to fail. It doesn't mean that an alternative system can't be used, but it must meet the requirements and loads that are asked of it with sufficient factor of safety. And importantly, the evidence of the design process has to be recorded for reference to at a later date. If an alternative design was found not to be suitable and sufficient, the various parties in the chain of custody, that could be anyone between designer to duty holder, could face prosecution under the Health and Safety at Work Act and any of its supporting statutory instruments. And I think this is a point that I would like to leave with you, Mark. The consequences of a system failing are really serious. The results will probably be a serious injury, if not a person being killed. The subsequent trauma for family, friends, colleagues is immense, and someone in that chain will have to bear that on their conscience. Now, that stands quite apart from the severe penalties that a court might impose on the company who's done the design or is a custodian. And there's some heavy fines, custodial sentences, and that's not to speak of the loss of reputation and consequential financial losses that the company will suffer because of a failure of a system they may have had some input to.
Well, thank you for giving us such a comprehensive overview of this, some really, really interesting insights, which I'm sure our listeners will agree. Now, obviously, you work for Arco, and Arco Processional Safety Services have a range of fall protection systems. You also offer training, consultancy, and various other services. What's the best way to get in touch with you, Ben, or Arco?
Right, so Arco Professional Services is the safety services arm of Arco, and probably the best way to contact us is through our website, which is www.arcoservices.co.uk. If not, we have on the website, there is a direct line to our customer services team who'll be able to put you in touch with the right person to speak to.
Well, Ben, thank you for such a great insight today. We really appreciate it. It was great to have you on.
Not at all. And once again, thank you very much for the invitation to speak to your audience at Health and Safety Matters.
So that's all we've got time for on this edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. As I've said throughout this podcast, please do give me your feedback on the podcast. You can go on social media and use hashtag HSM podcast, or drop me a direct message through LinkedIn. I'd be really keen to hear from you on your views of the podcast, what we should cover, your views on the Health and Safety Matters magazine, what we could do better, what we can include, or just general feedback. Of course, you can go to our website. As I've said many times, you can search for Health and Safety Matters on a search engine, or go to hsmsearch.com. Sign up to get the magazines for free, including the BSIF guide and the PP Insights guide. Or you can sign up to get our twice-a-week e-newsletter for free as well, which over 50,000 of you do. Or you could look at our upcoming webinars or past webinars by clicking on the webinars tab at hsmsearch.com. But, the main reason to go there is always seeing all the latest news, prosecutions, products and services and in-depth articles that we've got on offer, all for free for all of you. And I'd very much like to thank our sponsor of today's podcast, which is, once again, the Health and Safety event. And as I said right at the start of today's podcast, the Health and Safety event takes place at the NEC in Birmingham on the 25th to 27th of April 2023 and is co-located with the Fire Safety event, the Workplace event, the National Cybersecurity Show and the Security event. If you register at healthandsafetyevent.com for free, you can get access to all four of those, or I think it's all five actually, of those shows, and they're all across many halls at the NEC, and it is now the biggest national health and safety event in the UK, so I'd strongly urge you to go to healthandsafetyevent.com. But in the meantime, as I said, please do go to our website, hsmsearch.com, but also please do enter our awards, as I've mentioned. Safety and Health Excellence Awards are open for entries. It's free to enter. You just have to go to she-awards.com or just put in your search engine, Safety and Health Excellence Awards. I went through the categories with you. It's free to enter. You've got until February to do so. Please do enter now. It's well worth getting yourself, your company, your team, an individual, a client, a product, etc., or a campaign all noticed, because you guys do a fantastic job keeping people and property safe, and it deserves the recognition. So please do go to she-awards.com. But thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to welcoming you back next month for the next edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast.